science. We've done a lot of graphing. I've learned a lot about different things like the Pythagorean theorem. I've learned how to make a proper graph and a good table with x and y relationships. And one of my great graphs that I wish to show is my time versus distance graph. It's labeled nicely, it's neat. It has a good story to go along with me using a ruler with equal intervals, a labeled x and y axis. It has its distance in hours, the time in hours, distance in miles, and it's titled, and I put my heading on it.
So can you read us the story that goes with the graph?
Sure, okay. These are 3 of my classmates. Will, Josh, and Gino went on a full-day fishing trip. After 20 miles, which is right here, they stopped for 1 hour to fish small game and to bait the fish. After 35 miles, they hit a hot spot and fished for 2 hours. After that, they put the boat at full speed. At 100 miles, they got to their destination and fished for 6 hours, catching all kinds of tuna and large game. Right. And yeah, and then you guys can look at my graph. This is my dramatic representation of a cell, and what I had to do is I had to use the 10 organelles in a cell, in animals and plant cells, which are like the features, like the nucleus is the main one, and then there's mitochondria. And I was partnered with Eric, and we wrote a story about all 10 organelles being kings in different cities, and then a huge monster came, and they had to all join forces in order to destroy it. And after they destroyed it, they all formed into one great machine that we now call today the cell. Missy Nostro has a technique called curse, which is circle the answer, underline the question, record your steps, show your work, and explain your answer. And that helps me a lot because it's all the basic things I need to put together a good project. Now I'm transitioning over to humanities. This year in humanities, I've had a lot of fun. We've read Beowulf so far, thankfully it was a modified version because Miss Chin said she read the full version in college and it's all in Old English and very hard to understand. And this is one project that I did. This is called my outside reading project. We picked a book and we read Hatchet, Eric and I again, and we read this book Hatchet, and we had 4 weeks to do the project, so we had to make a timeline. Eric and I planned that we'd have the book done in 2 weeks and then have the rest of the 2 weeks to work on the presentation. And when Miss Chin assigned this project, we had to take on 2 different roles. I was an analyzer, so these are my 2 analyzations. One of them is that in the book Hatchet, there's a secret that Brian's mom doesn't share with his dad, and that makes it a lot harder in the book for Brian to stay happy when he's stuck in the wilderness. And then another analogy that I made is that in the wild, all the animals and challenges that he faced helped him prepare for the real life and also to stay in the wilderness, and it was key for him to survive. So Eric was the illustrator. He illustrated all these pictures, and we put together this project, and we got a very good grade. We got an A, and I was happy with it. I also wrote the summary of the book.
What was your favorite part of the book?
I like fishing, so I liked when he made the spear and tried to fish, but for some reason the water shows the fish. It doesn't show the exact place of the fish because there's a reflection in it, and so he had to figure that out on his own, and I thought that was a great part. And one more thing I don't have, Miss Chin said she might bring it. was the journal writing, and it was what I thought of a hero, and basically I wrote about this imaginative, or this imagination, and it was a creature, actually a human, who was brave, courageous, he had all the great traits, and yeah, he was in the army, and I explained how I would never want to be in the army, but I'll always look up to those who want to defend our country. And I can improve on my journal writing by writing a little bit more in them, because she gives us 15 minutes to write, and I write around a page in that 15 minutes. I think I can elaborate more and probably make better stories. And then some personal goals I have in just my whole life is I want to attend Notre Dame, and I want to graduate from there, and I want to come back to San Diego and get a job in forensic science. And then some goals for these two classes: I want to make friends and have good relationships with everyone in these classes, including my teachers, and I want to achieve grades that I think are good enough in my standard. And as a learner, I like to learn in an environment with people that I get along with, that I work well with, that get the job done when they need to get the job done, and I like it to be quiet. A classroom that would drive me crazy would be all the kids yelling and screaming and throwing papers all over the place, and most of them not paying attention to the teacher. And yeah, that's basically my student-led conference. Do you have any questions?
Was this limited to just black and white on the picture?
No, we made it black and white because it was a depressing story until the end, and we just thought black and white maybe might make it look sad.
Okay.
I have a question about reading.
Yeah.
Is there a certain amount of reading that goes on for personal reading in each class?
Well, you can explain about the like Hatchet and the, what it's called?
ORPs?
ORPs.
Well, like, she had us pick a book off a list of maybe 7 different ones, and I picked this one, and there were other options like The Hobbit, Lord of the Flies, I don't know, I can't remember any others because I just basically picked Hatchet. As far as like reading in our classes, we're reading a book right now called Monster. We just started it, first 12 pages today, and so far I like it because it's kind of like a case in the courtroom.
Is it that based on
Charlie's there?
I don't think it's really appropriate. It's, but it has it's still about something on
Yeah.
about
The movie's a hard watch.
Is it?
This is, yeah.
Did you get those?
Charlize Theron's got an Oscar. She's getting an Oscar for that.
I had a question for you. As far as you wrote this cell story, and you had an option of doing a number of different things, you know, rapping, acting, writing a story. What really made you choose the story writing aspect?
Last year I had Mr. Toner as a humanities teacher, and he really improved my writing, and now I feel confident about my writing, and I know I spent all summer without writing, and I guess I wanted to warm it up, so I just wrote this, and I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to keep on writing. I know it might not have been the most interesting thing, but I had fun writing it. Yeah.
It was cool. It was a good idea about bringing didn't you bring all the cities together?
I brought like all the organelles
Oh, yeah,
together.
everyone else together, right? And into one big.
Mhm.
It took me a while to understand it when I was first reading it. this makes no sense. And then you get to the end and it does.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's also hard when you don't, it's the pieces of the cell,
Yeah.
right? I also noticed that you and Eric work together a lot. Is that, you mentioned a goal of yours to make friends and have positive relationships with everyone in the class. I actually think that it would be a good challenge for you to try and branch out in your group choosing.
Yeah.
Because you are a very mature young man, for what I notice. I mean, in the way you present yourself, in your intelligence, in the way you see the world, and the way you can have relationships with people. I mean, Dylan and I had these conversations, and I'm like, am I talking to my peer or my student? I mean, he really is very advanced socially.
It's the oldest child syndrome.
Yes, I mean, he's like an old soul, I just see him really having that wisdom almost. And I really would like the rest of your classmates to get the opportunity to know you a little better.
Alright.
So I challenge you to take that on, to try and put yourself in a situation where you're not saying, it's a calculated risk, you don't know someone so well, but you think that you might work well with that person. Or you could complement them with your social skills and your speaking skills, and maybe they have really artistic skills and your writing skills, and they have creative skills. So maybe you can try and find people who you can pair yourself with, other than, your safe ones. And it's the beginning of the year, so I know.
Yeah.
We choose the people we feel safe with, but as one of your goals to make friends, I think that will help you to make friends, and everybody likes you,
Yeah.
That's just the kind of guy you are. And so I really, all your teachers love you. You're a very lovable, likable guy who offers a lot, who brings a lot to the table. And I want you to offer your gifts to other people.
Okay.
I have a few things to say to you.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you one question first because I haven't been present for most of this. We studied a lot of subjects in our humanities class. Very odd and eclectic nature at this point. As far as what's been going on, what do you think was the most challenging subject for you? Not necessarily to say that you did the worst on, but just one that you thought made you think or that made you work.
I've never studied, for a monster project, I've never studied the Greeks or any type of Greek Orthodox religion, or I've never studied any of that stuff we've ever studied in humanities class, not the Platonic love, or Caden's hymn, or all that stuff like that. I've never studied it, and honestly the most challenging stuff was either Beowulf, understanding it, or the monster project. But I had fun with both.
Good.
Yeah.
Dylan is such a blessing in my class because while he's in my easygoing class, my 2-3 period. What he does is he's really sort of this unintentional liaison between my boys and my girls and all types of kids that I have, because I have to agree, he has such maturity. When you speak to me, when you speak to your peers, when you speak to credit seminar, I love how he thinks, and it's very fair-minded and it's advanced beyond anything I could hope for. And I like to see you thinking, I like to see you challenged, and I love to see you understanding and explaining. And as far as working with Eric Espinoza, you bring out good things in Eric. I really think you do. And so I don't necessarily fully discourage you working with him, but I do agree that you need to not just work with him, because you are such a blessing. You ought to be shared with those who need you. And I think will improve you personally, because I want you to continue advancing this way that you have been obviously advancing.
Okay.
But his work is solid, and it's honest and mature, except for his love of the Red Sox, which is wrong. And
No, which is great, which totally respect.
And he ratted me out to Miss Yoster, and I have to say, no.
You got another one coming up too.
Did you watch that game today? I will say publicly, I'm not a Yankees fan, I am an Angels fan. So my goodness,
So
before
your feelings are hurt.
Right, but I'm allowing the Red Sox to do better now because they are playing the Yankees. But you need to improve your Red Sox fan, just loyalty, because frankly, it's going to suffer in my class. But no, he's so much fun, and I really am thankful to have you in my class. It's very nice to have you, and especially since you brought the Hatchet project, you fielded questions very well from an audience that knew the book very well, because they had a teacher last year who had done the book in his class, and so when I opened the floor to questioning, they had a stream of them for Dylan. I'm not sure if you expected that or not, but it was.
I did. I didn't expect most of the kids to dislike the book, because I loved it.
And I love Hatchet too, and I put it on the list because I thought and I actually was very glad you chose it because I thought it would suit you very well, and his analysis was quite good. And also I will say on a non-academic note, as far as personal goals go, I got to watch him at the football game again the other day, and you know what, you were very mature about that game too, because it just was nice to see it translated into sports, that he was just very, fair about how things were going, and he kept your cool even when things were a little bit weird going on, and I was not surprised to see you with a quarterback. I was saying, oh yeah, I figured Dylan might be a quarterback, and it's not just.
I was very proud of his points.
Yes.
That he held himself and he represented the school well.
I thought you did too, and I was proud of the whole team, but I was proud of you because you're my student. I've watched 4 students that I had, like.
That was one of their top teams.
They were good. They were good.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I'm bummed I didn't know it was happening.
I was going to call you, but then it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was all the way down in PD.
Oh, yeah.
So I live like mine.
That was
I'm
close.
Carmel Valley, so. But yeah, I heard it went really well, and you played a good game.
So I just like to see that it's not just.
They all played well.
It was tense. I was biting my nails.
I sat down the first half, the second half I couldn't sit.
Yeah,
No,
I was walking around, throwing the football and watching the game. It was fun. It was exciting. I think it's too exciting for a first game. Like,
Oh, no,
it's going to be a letdown.
It was too exciting. I come to prepared to relax and kind of just hang out and watch it play, and I ended up just, holding on to all the moms and dads and just shaking with excitement. So,
I'm so glad to see they brought some, were able to bring some of the sports that the boys and girls like here. They're enjoying the active part of high tech as well.
So if there are no other questions, we should probably close it up, but do you have any questions for us before we do?
No, I don't think so. Okay. Sounds like he's doing okay.
yeah, he's doing all
Keep
right.
it.
Yeah, we like him. We'll keep him for sure.
Yeah.
And we might keep him longer
Is
than
this
we
something
like.
that takes place twice a year, once a
Yes,
year?
twice a year, again,
We'll be doing student conferences again.
yeah.
Yeah.
And next time you'll have more things to choose from. Right now, we just started, so we don't have as much to choose from. We made some good choices, so.
Yeah.
Now, is there like, with these boys, they have a specific amount that they have to read per day? Doesn't sound like that's the case in high tech. It's more they're responsible for a book.
For my class, for me, it's hard to just say do half an hour reading a day because I find that either you do it grudgingly if you're not a reader, or else you would do it anyway if you are a reader. And I'd rather help facilitate that so you don't just pick up any random thing and just read it.
Yeah.
You're doing reading in
We're
class.
doing reading right now for homework. I just didn't show you.
Yeah, and then Beowulf, I like doing it in a way so they get to have little nibbles of things. And then Outside Reading Project was my sort of solution to that, which was I'll give you a book, and then something will read it really quickly. Some people take a long time, but that way it was a way of them understanding it rather than just randomly forcing reading. So.
I personally would like to see some learning encouraged.
Okay.
If you have some of your book, if you can enjoy.
That I
You know,
do have.
if you could just kind of, maybe introduce him to it.
I would already
I think once
suggest.
he gets involved with it.
Yeah, he's read this, I want to say, how many times now? 4, 5? You just bring it out and he'll start reading it again.
Oh, good. Well, you
So,
should.
which I think is wonderful, but I think it's good to have new experiences and.
He mentioned he really wants, he's into forensics too.
Oh, then
So
you'll
then-
love this.
There might be some, or you'll love the, yeah, you'll love the book that we're reading, Monster, right now.
Yeah. There's a couple, one thing, just because you really like Hatchet, there's a sequel called The River, which is great to read, and also the same author did one called Dogs Off, which I also hear is very good, but I haven't read. Okay, I would suggest The River for you if you like Hatchet, just all of us to follow up on the same story. If you like forensics, there's a ton of those too. I mean,
Especially right now because it's such a hype, but I don't know any specific one.
I'll have to find out a list of the best ones. But if nothing else, if you still have an evolution book, pull it out, and I will actually find ones that I think you would like. There's always just amazing things to read, and if you're interested, I can follow up in any way you want. Just merely for a grade, I don't do it as much because, yeah. So, no, but that, thanks for telling me, that's great, and then I will get you some things to read. That's good.
All right, well,
Okay, Herb.